All right, guys, we're going to find this quotient. This is now quarter 3, week 4, day 4. All right, so we're going to divide 28 into 17,976. I'm going to put some zeros. Don't know if I'm going to need them. Does 28 go into 1? Nope. Does 28 go into 17? Nope. Does 28 go into 179? Yeah, I would say probably 6 times. Let's try 6. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 4 more is 16. All right, subtract those. All right, so 9 minus 8 is 1. 7 minus 6 is 1. All right, let's bring down the 7. Does 28 go into 117? Probably about 4 times, right? Because 25 goes into 100 4 times. This is a little over that, so let's try that. 4. So 8 times 4 is 32. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 more, 11. And then subtract that. So we have 7 minus 2 is 5, and then there's nothing else there. Okay, so we'll bring down the 6. How many times does 28 go into 56? Well, this is actually looking pretty good. So 2 times 8 is 16. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 more is 5. Wow. Okay, I don't need to add those extra or use those extra zeros because it comes out even. The quotient is 642. So 28 goes into 17,976. It goes into that 642 times. Okay, so it says find the quotient, which means we are dividing, right? Where that makes sense. There's a division sign. And we know that this number here has to be not a decimal. Okay, so there's the dividend, which is the number inside, and there's the divisor. So the divisor cannot have a decimal, which means we moved it over 2 places. So we did the same thing here. So I rewrote it 21 into 34.65, and then I added some zeros. So how many times does 21 go into 34? Let's see. Let's make this color. All right. So 1 times 21 is 21. Pretty easy math there. 4 minus 1 is 3. 3 minus 2 is 1. Bring down the 6. How many times does 21 go into 136? I'm thinking like 5 or 6 times. Let's try 6. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. Well, this is pretty easy math again. So 0, this is 1. Bring down a 5. How many times does 21 go into 105? That's 5 times. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. We'll subtract those, and it becomes a 0. So we don't need any of those. So there's our answer. We just bring the decimal up then. So the answer is going to be 1.65. So that's the answer to that quotient is 1.65. An artist can create 4 pieces of pottery in 2 hours. What is its unit rate? Okay, so it kind of depends on what we're doing. If we're saying per hour, that's going to be pretty easy, right? Because you divide 2 into 2 to get 1, and 2 into 4 to get 2. So 2 pieces of pottery per hour. Okay, but what if we were actually trying to get it how long it takes per 1 piece of pottery, right? So if we were to go from 4 down to 1, or actually, let's just go ahead and say 2 and 1, all right? And then we wanted to get from 2 down to 1, so we have to divide by 2, right? 2 divided by 2 is 1. So for every 1 piece of pottery, we take 1 divided by 2. Whoops, divided by 2. Didn't mean to put that there. All right, so 1 divided by 2, or half of 1, is a half. Okay, so actually, if we were looking at it, a half an hour is how many minutes? 30 minutes, right? Because 1 full hour is 60 minutes. So it's basically 1 pottery would take 30 minutes. Okay, so there we go. There's our unit rate. So 1 pottery would be 30 minutes, or we could actually just say 4 pieces of pottery would take 1 hour. So depending on if we're going to do the unit rate as hours or per piece of pottery, we have both unit rates. All right, there we go. Lindsay is very excited to be getting a great deal on an iPad. It was originally $500. Okay, that was the original price, but she will only be paying $325. What is the percent that she saved? Okay, I'm looking at this, and this is going to be, there's kind of a way to solve this quickly without a whole lot of math. Okay, we could divide 500 into 325 and get the decimal to see how much she did pay, what percentage she did pay, and then subtract that from 100. But the other thing that's really easy to do with this one, remember, since percent is out of 100, I'm just going to redo this. What did it take to get from 500 down to 100? Well, you divided by 5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 325 divided by 5. Okay, so if I do that, 325 divided by 5 is 65. So it's going to be, let's make sure I have a writer, 65 out of 100. Well, 65 out of 100 happens to be 65%. Okay, so she paid 65% of the original cost of 500. Okay, so what would be the discount? Well, you're going to do 100 minus 65, which would be 35, right? So if that's the case, what was the discount? 35%. So I kind of cheated on this one, but the only way that I could do that, I mean, I didn't really cheat, I just used number sense, but the way that I could do that, as I saw, our denominator was 500, and I know anytime you have a number that's just 500, 600, 700, anything like that, you could basically divide and get it down to 100. And that's going to give us our very, very easy percent, right? So how much out of 100? So to answer this, what is the percent that she saved? The answer is 35%, okay, because she paid 65% of the total cost. So there's your answer. Are the two expressions equivalent when x equals 10? Again, it's kind of interesting that they do this because we know whether an expression is equivalent if you can actually kind of simplify it or distribute and make the same one. So if we look at this one here and bring it down here, 5 times 3 is 15. So it's 15x. And then 5 times 8 is 40. Right? So we have 15x plus 40. Well, is that going to be the same as 8x plus 8? No matter what the number is that you put in, is it going to be the same? And the answer is no. Okay, but even if we did it, 8 times 10 is 80 plus 8 is 88, right? And then if we put 15 times 10, that'd be 150 plus 40, which would be 190. So no matter how you do it, you know that it's clearly not going to be the same. Okay, so the answer is no to this one. Okay, are the two expressions equivalent when x equals 10? No. Draw a number line to represent the inequality y is less than 64. Well, since 64 is the number that we're talking about being greater than or less than, I actually labeled it right here, right in the middle. Okay, so anytime you're trying to graph for a number, just put that number in the middle of the number line and then have numbers larger than that and smaller than that. All right, so let's draw a number line to represent that. So y is less than 64. So I'm going to go ahead and put a circle around the 64. Should we color in the circle? No, we should not, because that would say less than or equal to. Remember, it has to have that little equal to sign. Doesn't have it. It just says y is less than 64. And so we're going to circle the 64, but not color in the circle. And then should we make the arrow towards the right with the numbers 65 and 66? Are those numbers less than 64? Or are we going to go to the left, okay, where it is less than 64, like 63 and 62? Well, obviously the answer is going to be to the left. Okay, so we're going to make the arrow to the left. And I didn't mean to put the little line inside the circle. Act like that's not there. So it's an open circle without anything colored in and the line to the left. That gives us the correct drawing on the number line. Emily's bedroom ceiling needs to be replaced due to a leak in the ceiling. How many square feet will she be painting? All right, so we have two options. We can actually kind of go that way and find those two rectangles, or we can put a line this direction and go those two rectangles and just add them together. So let's just go with the horizontal, I guess. 5 times 8 is 40, so we know that much so far. So we need 40 feet squared. This is 4, but what is this distance? Well, the whole distance from top to bottom is 11, and this is 5. So we're going to have to do 11 minus 5, which means this distance here is 6. Now that's pretty easy. 6 times 4 is 24. Okay, so the total square feet that she will need to paint is 40 plus 24. 40 plus 24, which is 64. All right, so there we go. 64 feet squared, or 64 squared feet. That's how much she would need to paint. Melissa is packing up her bedroom before she leaves for college. Her closet is 185 cubic feet. Okay, so basically 185 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot cubes. Okay, that's a pretty nice size. It says if the boxes she used are 4.5 feet long, 2 feet wide, and 4 feet high, how many boxes can she fit into her closet? Okay, so that's going to look like this, right? That's what her boxes look like. To find a volume, it's just length times width times height, right? So 4.5 times 2 is 9. 4.5 plus 4.5 is 9. 9 times 4 is 36. So each box is going to take up 36 feet cubed, right? So how many 36s not squared, cubed. How many 36s go into 185? So 185 divided by 36 is actually 5.1. So basically, she can fit 5, right? She's going to be able to fit 5 full boxes into her closet. So that's the answer to that one. It was nice that they gave us numbers that were really easy to multiply together, so to get us that answer. So we can fit 5 full boxes. It's actually a little more than 5, but 5 boxes with just a little bit of room. Use the net to find the surface area of the rectangular prism. Okay, so they took this and they flattened it out. So we should just find the area of each one of these rectangles and add them all together. All right, so the first one, it looks like the sides here are 12 times 3, which is 36, right? So that would be 36. That would be 36. This one here is 5 by, well, it has to be the same distance as this. Even though it doesn't look it, it has to be. 5 times 3 is 15, so that's 15. And that's 15. And then the top and the bottom, well, the top is going to be 5 by 12, well, which is 60. 5 times 12 is 60, and that has to be the same as the bottom. So basically, we're going to add up 60 plus 60 plus 36 plus 36 plus 15 plus 15. So let's do that. We have 0 plus 0 plus 6 plus 6. 6 and 6 is 12. 12 plus 10 is 22, right? So we're going to put a 2 here, put a 2 up top. So we have 6 and 6 is 12. Well, actually, 6 times 3 is 18. 19, 20, 21, 22. Okay, so the answer is 222. So the total surface area is 222 inches squared. All right, that's how we find the surface area by utilizing that net.